Did you know that Belinda Carlisle from the Go-Go's American rock band was secretly fighting inner demons while she entertained the world on stage? From 30 years of addiction to her traumatizing depression, there's a dark reason why the Go-Go's must never have another reunion. And to find out why, let me take you back to her early life. Belinda Carlisle was born into a home where she was rejected immediately after her birth. Her father was an alcoholic and her mother was a woman who never forgave herself for having a baby with a man like that. They argued a lot, and Carlisle told of a time when things got so heated up between them that they took it out on her. One of them held her legs and the other her arms, and they pulled so hard that she felt that she would split into two pieces. Growing up in a home like this left a toxic stain on Belinda, which she has struggled to overcome all these years. Interestingly, her parents had two more children, and this just didn't make sense to Carlisle, as her mother was always heartbroken and unhappy about her marriage. Anyway, this episode was quickly wrapped up after her parents' divorce, but unfortunately it marked the beginning of an even more tragic chapter. Her mother fell in love with the carpenter who lived across the street, and he soon became her stepfather. The carpenter, like her father, drank way more than he should, and Carlisle stated in her memoir that she had a tumultuous relationship with him. While all of these were going on, little Belinda secretly nurtured her love for music, and she almost didn't get any chance to express it until she met American musician Lorna Doom in an art class in high school. Lorna recruited her as a drummer for the punk rock band The Germs under the stage name Dottie Danger. Carlisle loved everything about her new life, but her joy would be cut short. A few weeks later, Belinda was diagnosed with mononucleosis, an infection that attacks teenagers and leaves them feeling weak for months. She was forced to resign, and they replaced her with gonorrhea. High school was as far as Belinda could go. She dropped out and worked as a photocopier clerk at a hotel. She continued working there until she couldn't take it anymore. 19-year-old Belinda packed her bags and made her way to Los Angeles, hoping to become everything she had dreamed of. Life in the big city was not as easy as Carlisle expected, but she spent all of her time looking for people with whom she could share her vision. A few weeks later, an opportunity came to her, and Belinda co-founded the Go-Go's. They were originally known as the Misfits, and it was just a team of three: Margot Olivaria, Alyssa Bello, and Jane Weedlin. Olivaria and Bello wanted out at some point, and that was how Charlotte Cafe, Kathy Valentine, and drummer Gina Schock entered the picture. Even though it was her idea, Carlisle revealed that she didn't believe that the Go-Go's would ever make it big. None of them had musical training, and she recounted a time when she had to use tape as a fret marker in the early days of their songwriting. But who knew that such a rocky start held the promise of a new life for Belinda Carlisle? Soon, the Go-Go's became one of the most successful American bands of the 1980s, and they achieved even better recognition as the first and only female band to write their own music while playing their instruments. Their debut album, Beauty and the Beast, destroyed records in many countries, with hits like Our Lips Are Sealed and We Got the Beat becoming global anthems. The Go-Go Girls followed this success with more record-breaking albums, like 1982's Vacation and the 1984 Talk Show. Now, Carlisle and her girls were almost becoming an addiction, and the world expected even more top hits from them. But we were all going to be disappointed. By May 1985, the Go-Go's announced that they were breaking up. This was shocking and strange, as we all thought they got along all right, but unfortunately things were very different behind the scenes. Well, they all speak in circles anytime they are asked about it. The real reason why the Go-Go's broke up were because of drugs, personal conflicts, and creative differences. But Carlisle insisted that she left only because there was no longer room for growth. Former bandmate Kathy Valentine would refute her statement. She said, "It was no bigger a problem than we had overcome in the past. I think what hurt the most was the way the breakup occurred. They just announced it's over." Gina Schock commented that she was relieved that it was all over. According to her, she always knew that Go-Go's would not last, as things were never done properly. So that was it for the girls, or so we thought. 6 years later, Belinda ran into Gina on the streets of Los Angeles, and it was there that they realized just how much they'd missed working together. Carlisle devised an idea to seduce the other group members, and it worked. The California Environmental Protection Act's fundraising gala was the beginning of an attempt to restore their glory days. As they moved on, Belinda recalled that they agreed to one ground rule: nobody is permitted to say anything that would piss off somebody else. Unfortunately, this did not work as well as they had planned. The fights were back, and the wounds that had almost healed were reopened. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, the band kept breaking up and reconciling until May 31, 2022. The Go-Go's played their last concert at Humphreys Concerts by the Bay of San Diego. "It's done. It has to be done at some point, you know," Carlisle told Variety as she restated that the band would never perform together again. "I think that the Rock Hall induction was a really wonderful way to cement the legacy of the band. There's something to be said for leaving at the top." Belinda Carlisle also had a very successful career outside Go-Go's. Her time alone birthed hit tracks like Mad About You, Heaven is a Place on Earth, I Get Weak, and Big Scary Animal, among many others. In all, Belinda can't deny what the Go-Go's did for her career. She only left because something in the band reminded her of her dysfunctional roots. A common practice with bands back in the old days was their relationship with drugs, and the Go-Go's were not any different. Guitarist Charlotte Caffey confessed to buying an isolated house in Hollywood Hills just for snorting heroin, and Carlisle also had something similar going on behind the scenes. According to her memoir, Lips Unsealed, Belinda revealed that her journey with drugs started when she was 14. She would smoke pot, play around with acid, and embrace the streets way of life, and all of that followed her to the Go-Go's. She patronized all kinds of LSD, Quaaludes, and MDA, and in a 2017 interview with The Guardian, she revealed that she still can't believe that she's not dead. Things got even messier as the band got more successful, as Belinda battled imposter syndrome. She constantly told herself that she would never be good enough, no matter how many hit songs she had on her name, and drugs were her only comfort. "I don't think I ever went on stage completely sober for years and years," Carlisle said. "When the Go-Go's album went to #1, I remember sitting in my kitchen and I was on a bender thinking, I can't believe it, I don't deserve this. Maybe it's because it happened so quickly. I think it also had to do with my issues from growing up and feeling uncomfortable in my skin." The singer also narrated an ugly incident where she traveled to a new location and how a desperate search for cocaine led her right into the den of all kinds of drug dealers and criminals. According to her, there were guns everywhere, but she managed to escape with her life. At the peak of her struggle with addiction, Belinda spent 3 days in an isolated hotel room in London binging on cocaine. There she realized that she had hit rock bottom, but fortunately, that was exactly where her revival started. At the end of the 3 days, Belinda said that she had an out-of-body experience where she heard a very loud voice that told her that she was going to die if she continued this way. This was all Carlisle needed to start seeking sobriety, and according to her, she has been clean since 2005. The singer also revealed that the reason why she has continued to share her drug addiction story is that she's hoping that her story will inspire others who might be in a similar situation. Belinda believes it is still possible to embrace change even in the late years of one's life. "I don't smoke anymore, I don't drink anymore, and I don't do drugs anymore. I found turning 40 a real passage in time for me. Unfortunately, cocaine and cigarettes were not Belinda Carlisle's only demons. She also maintained a terrible relationship with food. When Belinda was a young girl, she only wanted to see the world and meet new people. That was why she originally wanted to be a travel agent. But music seduced her, and after she became successful, Belinda realized just how cruel the media could be. She was constantly taunted for her looks, leading her to seek extreme solutions. They always mentioned how much I weighed. It was always about my weight. I never had a problem with it until the media put such a focus on it. It really messed up my head," she said. Belinda easily developed an eating disorder that continued for many decades. This was matched with her unhealthy drug habits, and it made her look very slender and sick. Still, producers wouldn't leave her alone. According to the singer, they always reminded her that the formula for visibility was to show more cleavage, and this almost drove her insane. Carlisle, in many interviews, has revealed that she never wants to be addressed as a sex symbol. She was only forced to do it, making her very uncomfortable. To her, all of these were pressures she never bargained for. Sobriety helped her with her eating disorder problems, and in recent years, we've seen her confidence grow in amazing measures. When asked why not many girl bands have been able to replicate what she had with the Go-Go's, Belinda lamented that things are not just the way they used to be. According to her, not many record companies are patient enough to nurture artists like they used to. She also commented on the pressures of female artists to be polished and highly sexual in a way that the Go-Go's never were. "We're no prudes, we've seen everything and done everything, but it was so sexualized. It's an industry run by men. I don't see the empowerment in sexualizing music that women perform. Drugs, alcohol, and career, and Belinda still needed to find lasting love. This presented life another opportunity to punish her for wanting too much." According to the singer, if she had the chance to go back, she would do nothing about the drugs that plagued her for decades, but there are a few men who would certainly hear from her. Carlisle first fell in love with Bill Bateman, the drummer of the Blasters, but their romance was very brief. After a few months together, the duo decided to call it off. Carlisle has refused to reveal the reason for their split, but it is suspected that she cheated on him with Mike Marshall of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Carlisle's toxic relationship with cocaine always made her seek self-isolation, and this negatively affected her love life. Mike broke up with her, and the next man on the list was film producer Morgan Mason. Desperate to put a seal on this, Belinda agreed to marry Morgan, and they tied the knot in 1986. Fortunately, she wasn't going to regret this, as Morgan refused a divorce even in the terrible phases of Belinda's life. According to her, Morgan stuck around because he always saw the person underneath. He was still hoping that that person would sort of emerge again, she said. "He is an evolved person, and he went through a lot with me. I'm glad we stuck it out, because if I had carried on, I'm not so sure he would be around like he is now, but I was committed to sobriety." The couple recently celebrated 38 years of marital bliss, and Belinda agrees that this was one of the best decisions of her life. Reliving the moment when they first met, Carlisle revealed that nobody believed that their love would last as long as it has because they were from different worlds. While Morgan was from the best parts of Beverly Hills, Belinda struggled with the lower middle class. They moved in together after the first date, and this was even more crazy to her. Belinda sees her family as life's compensation for the many troubles it has dealt her with, and she's doing everything to ensure that things never change. The couple share a son, James Duke Mason, who was born in 1992 and is known for his writings and activism with LGBT. Carlisle has yet to announce her retirement from the music industry, so fans can expect to hear her magic whenever her schedule allows. In February 2024, Carlisle and the Go-Go's were inducted into the California Hall of Fame by the governor, Gavin Newsom. Belinda Carlisle, now 51, is looking even more gorgeous and graceful as she now has all the drugs and alcohol behind her. The singer continues chanting her sobriety songs with hopes to save as many as she can. That's it. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other videos of beautiful actresses from the past on the end screen below. As always, thanks for watching.